everybody. Welcome to study number 19 in the book of Numbers in our Search the Scriptures study as we go through the Bible in 3 years. We are done with our first year and into our second year already, and we are to an exciting chapter in Numbers today, chapter 25 and 26, 2 chapters, and we are going to attempt to answer a couple questions over those. Getting this out just a little bit late today. Sorry about that. I decided it'd be a good idea to get up this morning and go run 16 miles. Well, it was a good idea for about 13. The last 3, it wasn't such a good idea. But I made it. I'm back home. Had a nice shower. Slept for an hour. And now we're ready for a couple questions. Chapter 25 and 26 in Numbers. We're not going to read chapter 26. Chapter 26 is once again another census, just like chapter number 1. So we're not going to read all of that, but I encourage you to do that. But we will read chapter 25 together. The first question is from chapter 25. Why was God's anger so fierce against the sins of his people? In this situation, what 2 complementary concerns stirred Phinehas to action, and who likewise was moved to action on our account by similar concerns? In chapter 26, compare the numbering in chapter 1. This is a new generation. Notice which tribes had increased and which decreased, and what explains the survival of Caleb and Joshua. Well, let's look together, as I said earlier, at Numbers chapter 25, beginning with the first verse. While Israel was staying in Shittim, the men began to indulge in sexual immorality with Moabite women, who invited them to the sacrifices to their gods. And the people ate and bowed down before these gods, and so Israel joined in worshiping the Baal of Peor. And the Lord's anger burned against them, and the Lord said to Moses, "Take all the leaders of these people, kill them, and expose them in broad daylight before the Lord, so that the Lord's fierce anger may turn away from Israel." So Moses said to Israel's judges, "Each of you must put to death those of your men who have joined in worshiping the Baal of Peor." Then an Israelite man brought to his family a Midianite woman right before the eyes of Moses and the whole assembly of Israel, while they were weeping at the entrance to the tent of meeting. And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw this, he left the assembly, took a spear in his hand, and followed the Israelite into the tent. He drove the spear through both of them, through the Israelite and into the woman's body. Then the plague against the Israelites was stopped, but those who died in the plague numbered 24,000. And the Lord said to Moses, "Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, has turned my anger away from the Israelites, for he was as zealous as I am for the honor among them, so that in my zeal I did not put an end to them. Therefore tell him I am making my covenant of peace with him. He and his descendants will have a covenant of a lasting priesthood, because he was zealous for the honor of his God and made atonement for the Israelites." The name of the Israelite who was killed with the Midianite woman was Zimri, son of Salud, the leader of the Simeonite family. And the name of the Midianite woman who was put to death was Cosbi, daughter of Zur, a tribal chief of a Midianite family. And the Lord said to Moses, "Treat the Midianites as enemies and kill them, because they treated you as enemies when they deceived you in the affair of Peor and their sister Cosbi, the daughter of the Midianite leader, the woman who was killed when the plague came as a result of Peor." Talk about church discipline. Wow. Chapter 25, why was God's anger so fierce against the sins of his people? In this situation, what 2 complementary concerns stirred Phinehas to action, and who likewise was moved to action on our account by similar concerns? Well, God's anger burned against the people of Israel because they did not separate themselves from the world around them. I'm concerned that the same exact kind of thing is happening today. Look what they did. They indulged in sexual immorality. Is that not what is happening today in our world? Is that not what's happening in the church world today? They involved themselves in sexual immorality with Moabite women and bowed down before their gods. Do we not bow down before the gods of this world on a constant basis? Phinehas was moved to action because of the sexual immorality of the couple involved, as well as the fact that it occurred at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and it was therefore a direct affront, an in-your-face act, if you will, before the Lord. We are presently, I think, living in a moment in time when somebody needs to stand up and say, enough. We've had it. We cannot continue to sit back and watch people so blatantly sin in the face of God and think they can get by with it. It's time for God's people to remove themselves from the world and bow before the Almighty instead of the whims of society. Once again, I'm speaking about, and this chapter is speaking about, the people of God. Judgment must begin in the house of the Lord. We know the people outside of the church walls are sinners. We know that. We understand that. But those inside the church walls, those that claim to be members, those that claim to be a part of the fellowship, they must be held accountable and held to a different standard. Second question from chapter 26, compare the numbering in chapter 1. This is a new generation. Notice which tribes had increased and which decreased, and what explains the survival of Caleb and Joshua. Well, here's the list of the tribes and the ones that increased. Notice Manasseh increased by more than any of the other tribes, by 20,500. The others did not increase as substantially. In all, the total number of the Israelites did not change much at all. This shows God's sustaining grace in spite of everything that was going on with them as they wandered in the wilderness. God kept them and kept their numbers almost exactly the same. And here you have Manasseh having 20,500 more added to his number. Interesting thing here is you look at those with that decrease the most. Simeon lost 27,100 men. The others did not come close to that figure. And just something to note here, the man that was killed by Phinehas with the Midianite woman in the tent was from the tribe of Simeon. So it's possible that the 24,000 that were killed in that plague in Numbers chapter 25, it's possible that they were from the tribe of Simeon, and that would explain the profound loss of 27,100 people. The survival of Joshua and Caleb, I think that can only be attributed to their desire to go into the promised land from the very beginning. I hope you are desiring to go into the promised land, and I hope God sees you there. And I just hope you have a great day. God bless.